the last one is that we need trust in God during the time when we persevere. In slide number 2, in the way of God's will, we read, the path a pioneer seeks is not centered on the present days, but is the path which always searches for the contents of future value. Only in this way can development and hope be maintained for eternity. That's the Father's word. And then there is, the next slide, there is a poem by an English writer, British writer, Robert Browning Hamilton. He said, I walked a mile with pleasure, she chatted all the way, but left me none the wiser for all she had to say. I walked a mile with sorrow, and ne'er a word said she, but all the things I learned from her when sorrow walked with me. And there's so many Bible verses and so many quotes by the Father and so many poems which talk about the fact that we learn the most when we go through difficulties. Nobody likes to go through difficulties, nobody. It's necessary, unfortunately, to grow and to become patient and to learn things. So I want to talk about the time when I joined our movement. It was 42 years ago, last month. In the beginning, I was not sure if I would be able to continue living in the church. I thought I'd just try it out. I felt called by God, and I thought I just try it out, and if I can't do it, then I can always leave. My spiritual mother said, you can always, you can try it out. Nobody has to stay. If you cannot do it, you can always pack your bags and leave. So in the beginning, it was very difficult. I moved from Bremen, my hometown in North Germany, to Munich, Bavaria, and I lived in an apartment with 20 people, and there were like one room for brothers, one room for sisters. We were working 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, witnessing, and we fasted every Monday, and basically did only 2 hours per week of personal time to do some letter writing or something. And also we didn't have many possessions, and we didn't have any money with us, or maybe $1 or something. And I said to our leader at that time, I would like $1. And she said, what do you want to buy for that? I said, I would like some chocolate. She said, it's not necessary. So I always remember that, and then I was so upset. But then, 1.5 years before I joined the church, I had surgery on my right foot, and that was supposed to be the last surgery. I was born with spinal bifida, and I had back surgery and leg surgery, and my foot was like this, so I had to make it straight, and then I put some screws in my foot 1.5 years before I joined. And then they said, so in about a year or so, the screws should be taken out. So then after I joined the church, I said to the leader there, well, I have to go to a doctor, and I have to go to a hospital here to get the screws taken out. And they said at the doctor's office, oh, you're going to have to wait for a long time. We don't have beds available right now, several months probably. But I was struggling so much, and witnessing every day, 6 days a week, and also because of my foot was hurting. And then suddenly I got the phone call, and that the bed was ready for me. I could go to the hospital just for a few days. I think maybe 3 days or something, I forgot. And when I was in the hospital, I really appreciated the church, and so I really felt that God wanted this to happen quickly, because I had to make a decision. I had to make commitment, because I was sitting on the fence, and was witnessing. And then every day some sisters came to the hospital and visited and brought me something, like an apple or something, a flower, not big presents, but, and they only stayed for a short time. And I was so happy, and I really started appreciating our church and our members. And then there were women in my room. I shared the room with several women, and they were talking about nonsense all day, gossiping, and was so depressing and so boring. And so when I came from the church center, from the hospital, nobody picked me up. I don't remember how I guess I took public transportation. And I went back, I was on crutches for a few weeks, I think. So I went back to the church center, and I prayed and I said to God, I'm never going to leave you. I decided at the hospital that this is the only way to stay in the church. And then the next slide. And the next, then 1 year later, I went to Thailand. I volunteered to go to Thailand. That's a photo of the first God's Day, 1976. Yeah, because I went in 75. So on one side is the American brother, Jack Hart, and the other one, Japanese brother, Akira Mitani, and they were both from the 1800 couples. And then the four in the back, they were missionaries to other Southeast Asian countries. And I just wanted to say, I thought it's interesting because I'm always in contact with members in Thailand. And okay, behind Jack Hart, there's a missionary who was appointed to go to Laos. And then on the far right, there was a German missionary to go to Laos. They only went for 1 week or so, then they got kicked out. And actually, and still today, Laos is a communist country, so we can't work there. And also the Vietnamese brother, there was only one Japanese brother was sent to be a missionary to Vietnam. He could never work there. So, and Vietnam is still communist today. But Cambodia and Burma are much better now, the situation. Not perfect, not completely democratic, but better. So the brother let's see, the second from the left, that was a Japanese brother who was supposed to go to Cambodia. And he stayed in Thailand for a while, I think maybe one year or so, and then he went back to Japan. And now in Cambodia, we have, as I said, it's not a democratic country, kind of authoritarian, but we still have some freedom. And we have a few hundred members now in Cambodia, and they do the tribal messiahship. And then the next one, one slide before. The brother with the glasses in the back, Satoru Katsuda, he was a missionary to Burma, and he could only go for 1 week at that time, and he went as a journalist. He was a journalist for the Sekai Nipo, I think, and then he came back to Thailand, then he went again for a week, but he could not work as a missionary. But now, just on March 1st, so just 13 days ago, one couple from Thailand was sent to Burma to be the pioneers there. So, and I sent a Facebook message a few days ago to the Thai brother who went there and asked him how it is, and he didn't answer yet, so I'm waiting for his answer. I have a Japanese wife, and then he graduated from Sun Moon University not so long ago, so they were sent as pioneers to Burma. The other name for Burma is also Myanmar, but I heard that many people call it Burma. Okay, next slide is just, I was just lecturing. Gosh, in Thailand, I was never nervous when I was giving lectures, but in America, I don't know why. It's easier for me to talk to people in Asia. Yes, so we were working for 3 years actually. We were going through so many trials and nations. And then after 3 years, many members joined. So the first 3 years, one member joined and left, another member joined and left, but after 3 years it really picked up. Yeah. And then the next slide, 1982, Tom and I got blessed. And then, and then 1 year later, he joined me in Thailand, and we were working together for 7 years there. And then in 1990, our family moved to America. Oh, in Thailand we have 3 children, and in America another one. And we came to America to do tribal messiahship, because already we heard about tribal messiahship. I don't know if it was called tribal messiahship at that time. Yeah, but so anyway, we intended to witness to Tom's relatives, but it turned out not to be so easy. And we were only in contact with his mother's relatives, and they are very wealthy, so not so easy to witness to them. But fortunately, about 10 years ago, Tom contacted family on his father's side, and mostly in Vermont. There was no contact because his parents were divorced, and he was not in contact with his father's relatives. But then when we went there to Vermont and for a family reunion, and now I'm still going there by myself. I went just in January. I went to visit because one of Tom's aunts turned 90 years old, and they are much easier to witness to. Not that they are really that they really want to know about our church, but it's easier to talk to them about religion. I went with one of my cousins-in-law to her church, and then she asked me about our church. So we were exchanging things about our churches. So and then of course I gave out the father's autobiography to a bunch of relatives. Yeah. Then 3.5 years ago, as you know, my son passed away, and then 1 year later my husband followed. And when my son was diagnosed with cancer, we had 1 year to prepare for his passing. And at that time I was really, in the beginning, I couldn't accept it, of course, as most people do when they find out that somebody is going to pass away. And I felt like Job in the Bible, who was cursing the day he was born. I thought, why was my son ever born? Because he was always suffering, not only during the last year when he had cancer, but also he had many problems. It's too much to talk about now. But and then after Tom's passing, I was really angry with God, and I said, why, I said to God, why, if you knew, that he would have such a short physical life, why did we get blessed? But then of course, you put everything into perspective later, and you know that I always remember that everything is for the lineage, right? we have to think of our lineage. Before I started to type my sermon, I read one of Tom's testimonies, which he wrote in 1999. And I think we were all asked to write our testimonies at that time and send them to parents. And so he was describing our matching. And some of you heard it already when I was talking at the Sangha about it. But just a few sentences. 1 year before our matching, we were matched by picture. 1 year before our matching, Tom had a dream where he heard from somebody that he was going to get blessed to a European missionary. And he thought, I better don't listen to this because I don't know if it's true or not. And then the matching took 2 days, and Tom already gave up because there were not so many sisters left. And then the father said, okay, I'm going to match 100 more brothers, and that's it. 100 more people, and that's it. And so he thought, maybe I'm not going to get matched at this time. And then Reverend Park came with a photo album of the foreign missionaries and members, and then he held up my picture and he asked who wants a sister, and then said that I have some disability, and then some brothers raised their hand, and my husband was one of them. And he received my picture, and then we started communicating by letters and tapes for 1.5 years, and we really learned a lot about each other by writing and talking on the phone and making cassette tapes. So sometimes when people say to me, oh yeah, the next slide. That's our family actually 10 years ago. I don't have that was the last picture, about 10 years ago. That was the last picture which we took of the whole family. I don't know why we didn't take another picture after that, but that was the last one. But of course Patrick is the one who changed the most because he was only about 10 at that time, and now he's 21. So he was the only one who was born in the United States. So sometimes when people say to me that God wants us to be happy, and I think, yeah, certainly in the future, but I cannot emphasize this right now. But then I think we can be happy, and we can persevere at the same time. For example, when we did our missions, and when we do witnessing, we prepare for events, and we have to invite people, and it's not easy to witness, so we have to persevere. But then when people come to the event, then it's so we're so happy, right? And it's so rewarding. So it's always like this. You always have to go through struggle to be happy. So it's not. Otherwise, we wouldn't appreciate happiness if we didn't have to struggle before. So I just want to say that I always feel sad when I hear about some unificationists who have been members for a long time and they deny their faith, or some couples of our church have been blessed for a long time and then they separate or divorce. I always feel so sad about that because I always think we have to, for so many years we have persevered. We might as well continue, right? So here's a quote from Chan Sang-young, the next slide. On page 1300, if you want to become citizens of the Third Israel connected to Unification Church, you must receive the blessing. In the past, at the time of Abraham, one had to be circumcised to become a citizen of Israel. And in the time of Jesus, one had to be baptized. It is the same today in the Unification Church. One cannot become a citizen of the Third Israel without receiving the blessing. So I always have to say this to myself and people. For example, there are some people who are not interested in the church or who are separate from the church. Oh, I can't, what is the difference between the blessing and marriage outside of our church? You know that everybody has to get life eventually. And the father said in Chan Sang-young that originally he was just focusing on couples who were not married before, who were still pure. But then, of course, he has to bless humanity. So then he had to include everybody. So everybody has to get that, no matter what people say. So, as I said, we have fought for so many years to lead a pure and disciplined lifestyle, so we might as well finish what we started. And when I joined our movement, I honestly believed that the kingdom of heaven would be established by the 90s. I don't know if you believe this. I don't know, so many people believed this in the 90s. That's and that all of our members would fulfill the three blessings during their physical lifetime. I really believe this. I don't know how many of you believe this. But of course we know that it's going to happen eventually. Not so long, not in 2,000 years. Hopefully within the next 100 years or so. I just, I always think, anyway, we endured, so we persevered for so many years, so we might as well continue. And now, I want to, you know that many people ask, where is God when it hurts, especially people who are not religious. There's God when it hurts. And many people don't believe in God or are not sure about God's existence because there's so much suffering. And everybody has to experience suffering at some time. There's nobody can be happy all the time. So, and our greatest spiritual lessons are learned through episodes of pain, suffering, and adversity. Real spiritual growth and character development does not happen during times of prosperity and comfort. They occur rather during times of pain and suffering. And none of us will ever truly grow closer or go deeper with God apart from Him. Just as a fire purifies gold, abrasion polishes metal, heat strengthens steel, and boiling water brings out the flavor of tea. And we also must enter times of adversity and suffering and pain if we're going to fully refine our character and have a deep relationship with God. Next slide. In James, in the Bible, James said in James chapter 1, verses 2 to 4, "Consider pure joy, my brothers, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith develops perseverance. Perseverance must finish its work, that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." And in the way of tradition, the father said that he was closest to God when he was at the North Korean labor camp. So I always think that even though our life is easier in general, we don't have to witness all day or fundraise all day like in the past, but we still have to work hard in order to accomplish things, in order to grow. And so I always try to do conditions, like Hundoki, of course, and pray every day for a certain amount of time, and witnessing conditions, at least a few people per week. First, I said, okay, one person per day, but then I could, it was really difficult to manage time-wise because I have a full-time job, and I thought, okay, 3 people per week. That's possible to manage. I always feel that I have to have, I have to do certain conditions in order to show that I'm serious. And also, of course, I want as many people as possible to know about our church, about Japan. Let's see. So I just want to show one more picture because most of you. This is my oldest daughter Becky with her husband and her son. He's now, my grandson is 1 year and 9 months old. So actually 1 week after my husband passed away, we found out that our daughter was going to have a baby, and I was so I was happy, of course, even though I was still sad about losing my husband. But so you can really see that always, happiness and sorrow comes alternately. It's not all sorrow, it's not all happiness. And I babysit him once a week, all day, so it's a lot of fun. Yesterday he came over, it's so much fun. Babies are always happy. It's just amazing. They're always happy, except when they're in pain. But usually they always smile and laugh. So much fun. Okay, so now I want to say a prayer. Heavenly Parent, thank you so much for everything you have given to us. We always pray for to Mother in the physical world and to Father in the spirit world. We know that they're working so hard every single minute of the day to restore people everywhere, and it is a huge task, but because of the divine principle, we know that restoration will be accomplished, and in not such a long time, and that everybody will be restored. Everybody will be living together as brothers and sisters. It's difficult to imagine when we see the suffering everywhere in the world today, but we know that it is going to happen because you are absolute and unchanging, eternal and omnipotent, and it is going to happen. Thank you so much for everything, that you're always helping us every day, no matter what we go through. Others, upholding out to parents' name, in the name of the Mackin family, the blessed and the family. Adieu.